So as we enter into lesson 3.9, you'll see that we're adding in another layer of the ability to describe a person. Up to this point, we've learned how to talk about their physical appearance. For example, in describing myself, soy alto, soy un hombre, soy alto y gordo, hay que decir la verdad. Tengo pelo castaño, tengo ojos azules. ¿Qué más puedo decir? Ya no soy muy fuerte, soy viejo, tengo 62 años, no soy muy guapo, pero no soy feo tampoco, pienso. And then we talk about how the person feels. We've learned to talk about emotions. Actualmente estoy relajado, estoy en mi oficina, me gusta hablar con ustedes, pues estoy feliz. And then we moved on to the topic of clothing and colors. Pues actualmente llevo un suéter gris y negro y blanco quizá. Llevo pantalones grises, llevo calcetas actualmente y tengo un anillo dorado. ¿Qué más? ¿Qué más llevo? Llevo lentillos de contacto actualmente, igualmente. And then we moved from there, I should say we are moving from there, into talking about physical condition or health. And that, of course, includes a theme which preceded that, which was parts of the body, a subject we just finished. And so to talk about my feelings, although you don't necessarily know these expressions yet, I could say, bueno, son las 10:30 de la mañana. No tengo mucha hambre porque yo comí un buen desayuno, pues no tengo hambre. Tengo un poco calor porque hace calor aquí en mi oficina, hay muchas luces. ¿Qué más? ¿Qué más puedo decir? Tengo sed porque he hablado mucho esta mañana, pues tengo sed. Y si no, estoy bien. So that's what we're moving into, is talking about a person's physical condition and their health. Now, something that's very important to remember as we're getting into this topic, because you'll find a lot of this issue dealt with this particular topic, health and physical description. It's very important to avoid directly translating within one's mind. I'm speaking to you exceptionally in English right now, but generally speaking, you know, the lessons are all in the target language. And so the reason it's important to avoid direct translation or breaking down within your mind what does each one of these words mean is that languages don't line up. I've talked about this before, but in a one-to-one correspondence. And so if you were to try to break down some of the more common expressions you already know, for example, no hay de qué. When someone says gracias, muchas gracias, you can respond, no hay de qué. Well, if you break no hay de qué down and try and translate each word individually, I suppose it would sound in English like there is not or there's nothing of which. There's nothing of which. Suppose that might have a sense of there is nothing about which or about which to thank me. But obviously, it's not a very neat, it's rather awkward attempt at a translation. And another example of that would be mucho gusto en conocerte, much pleasure in knowing you. The words simply don't line up. If you want to tell an individual you're pleased to meet them, you simply say mucho gusto or mucho gusto en conocerte. And you don't stop and think, now let's see, gusto is a noun, means pleasure. No, you don't think in that fashion. Yeah, I'll explain how you should think in just a minute. But here's another example. This comes from this particular lesson, something to which you're going to be exposed over and over again. If I'm feeling hungry, I say, bueno, tengo hambre. Well, tengo hambre is not I am hungry, it's I have hunger. And in fact, you'll find that many of the expressions, most of the expressions in this particular lesson, rather than using the verb to be like we do in English, we use the verb to have in Spanish. And we say, I have hunger, I have thirst. I'm not going to go any farther because I don't want you thinking in English in any case. The point I'm trying to get across is this. You don't break down words into their individual components and think of what each of them would translate to into your own language. Rather, you need to think on the level of what is the message that's being conveyed by these statements. And that's why the gestures are so important. That when I do this, for example, I don't have my thermometer here, but you want to, and you say, bueno, tengo una fiebre. That one actually translates, I suppose. Okay, let me take a better example. one which would be awkward if you tried to translate word for word. Tengo sed, agua por favor, tengo sed. Okay? When I communicate this, tengo sed, and I'm getting across the idea that I'm thirsty here, the key is, as I do the gesture, what does this series of words convey? What meaning does it convey? Not what does each word mean? So try and think along the lines of what is the message that I'm conveying. Don't concern yourself with the translation of individual words. Just through repetition, through the use of the gestures, may these expressions become comfortable and the norm for you without any need for translation. I think that's just about it. There's one expression you're going to run into in this lesson I'd like to mention in advance. It's the idea that something hurts. Now, we've talked about parts of the body, and as you get older, like I am, it seems like everything hurts. But if I were to say, for example, I've got a headache, okay? I'm going to use the same structure as you learned to do with gustar. If I want to say, for example, I like baseball, I say, me gusta el béisbol. I start off with what's called an indirect object pronoun. Me, or if I'm talking about you, te, or if I'm talking about somebody else, le, or if I'm talking about myself and others, nos, in other words, we. If I'm talking to y'all, I'm talking about you, all of you, plural, I say les. If I'm talking about them, I say les. And then I indicate that something is pleasurable to these people, whether it's myself or yourself. I say gusta or gustan, one of two forms only. Gusta or gustan. Gusta if the thing which I like is singular, and gustan if the thing which I like is plural. And so let's, again, baseball. Me gusta el béisbol. Let's take a plural noun. I like French fries. Me gustan las papas fritas. Me gustan las papas fritas. Okay? In the same way, you can take the same structure and apply it to this idea of hurting. If I want to say that my head hurts, I start off with the indirect object pronoun. Who cares about the term, but that's what it is. I say me, all right? I don't say yo, I say me, and then I take the verb doler, which means to hurt, I guess, and I will either use one of two forms, just like with gustar. Duele, if the thing which hurts me is singular, or duelen, if it is plural. And so if I got a headache, I only have one head to my knowledge, I will say me duele, and then I indicate what it is that hurts. La cabeza. Me duele la cabeza. If it's my stomach, which is el vientre, me duele. Let's say you have a stomach ache. Huh? I'll talk about you instead of myself. I will say te, and then ay duele. That verb is duele el vientre. Te duele el vientre? You got a stomach ache? And then let's take a plural thing such as eyes, okay? Maybe my eyes, forget eyes. Let's say my ear, no, we'll go back to eyes. My eyes hurt for some reason. I'm straining looking at the screen here. I will say, me duelen, because I'm plural, los ojos, me duelen los ojos. Or what else have you learned? Teeth. You've learned los dientes, right? So will I say me duele los dientes? Will I say me duelen los dientes? Which of the two expressions would be correct? Yeah, it'd be me duelen, because teeth are plural, los dientes. Me duelen los dientes. Or if I'm talking about some other guy, that poor guy's got a toothache, let's assume we're talking about multiple teeth, we will say, that's right, le duelen los dientes. Le duelen los dientes. That's good enough. Okay, time for you to get now into lesson 3.9. Follow the instructions below this video, and I'll see you soon. Adios.